You hold the key to your life, but sometimes it feels out of reach. Welcome to The Key Code, the podcast for anyone balancing big dreams with bigger fears. Together we'll navigate the self-doubt, imposter syndrome, and internal conflicts that have kept you playing small and uncover the confidence that's been within you all along. This is your space to feel safe, supported, and inspired to become the person who says no without guilt, speaks their truth freely, and moves through life with purpose and self-trust. Here, we'll explore the keys and codes that unlock true self-leadership, the kind that allows you to move through life with clarity, confidence, and ease. Let's unlock it together. It's so funny because I never got asked why I'm starting a podcast. I got asked, why haven't you started a podcast yet? And that made me realize a lot of things. One, it made me realize that you can't force people into your world. So people need to be nurtured in a way that works best for them. If that means I'm going to share the most intimate and personal experiences within my whole journey via a podcast and through a microphone, I'm going to do it. Because if I can do that at an event and speak into a microphone to people that have chosen to be present in that room, present in that setting, then I can do the same on a podcast, right? And I think that's the reason that I really wanted to start this, is to realize and also learn myself that I can't just assume people understand my world, understand my journey. I need to give them the option to almost opt in and opt out whenever they want and need to, and however they want and need to. And I think a podcast is the perfect way to do that, right? Because you don't have to see me, I don't have to see you. And I understand after being hidden for such a long time, and I'll get into this a bit later, but when you are on a journey of self-discovery, it can be the most lonely thing in the world. And I think I'm still trying to navigate that, to be honest. There's a lot of bridges that you have to, I want to say, jump over. It's more so a climb. And I'm still climbing. And I'm enjoying every part of the climbing. But it doesn't mean it's not hard. And if I can alleviate any sort of pressure for anybody and make them feel more seen, more heard, and just understood in the way that I didn't receive myself when I was going through this journey and going through my journey of insecurities, my journey of not really knowing who I am, trying to fix myself because I convinced that I needed to be fixed. So if I can help someone going through a similar journey, just give them a boost because they feel seen and heard, that's what I'm going to do. And I think with a podcast as well, it's very interesting because you are in a situation where, again, you are choosing to listen to a podcast. And in that way, you already probably feel very seen and heard. When you come to social media, for example, it's a different situation. People can see your face, people can see your name, and you almost feel exposed without exposing yourself. And I think with a podcast, it does give you that security almost. You can pause when you want to, you can play when you want to. And I think I like knowing that people who are in my world and people that are now coming into my world as time goes on have that option to pause when they need to pause. I think that's really important. And I wish I had that option when I was going through everything that I was going through, both mentally and physically, for such a long period of my life. This is your opportunity to pause. I'm going to say pause now if you want to take a break. Pause now, because this episode is going to really open your eyes to my journey and probably how similar it might be to the journey that you're going through. And I want it to feel similar. I want you to feel seen. I want you to feel heard, because I know what it's like to not feel seen and heard. It's a place like no other. It really is. This is one thing I want to share. I want to share limiting beliefs. It's a conversation that I've had so many times over the past 6 months of my life, I would say, since transitioning to being a master NLP practitioner. When I'm talking about limiting beliefs, what I mean is when you feel like you are not good enough, when you feel like you are not doing enough, when you feel like you can't be that person, right? And obviously we talk about imposter syndrome a lot. When you feel like you can't be that person, you can't put yourself in that room, you don't have the confidence. When you feel held back, you immediately will tell yourself that it's never going to happen for you, or that you're dreaming too big for someone like you. And I think being a coach now, I've realized how much that happens and how frequently people identify with their limiting beliefs. And it's quite scary, to be honest. And that's why I'm on a mission to be able to help as many people as possible, because the fact that I convinced myself that I needed to be fixed because other people told me that I had a problem, right? Other people were trying to fix me, and therefore I believed that I needed to be fixed. If I could believe that at such a young age, right, without many experiences. Imagine someone who is 40 years old, 50 years old, and has had all these life experiences and is still being told that they need to be fixed, still being told that they are broken and something is wrong with them. Imagine how much they take on, how many beliefs they take on as a result of that. And I think anyone who is wanting to start something for themselves, it's scary. It's scary to do it by yourself because, as I said initially, the journey of self discovery is so lonely. As in, I feel so alone all the time. I feel so alone. And I don't talk about it to a lot of people. But even having this conversation right now, right? I'm speaking into a mic and I'm having it with myself. Like I'm looking at myself on the screen right now. And it's weird because it feels like I'm having like a one-to-one call that I have with my clients with myself. It's so weird. But actually it's giving me that sense of security. If I'm getting it from myself, I'm assuming my clients are loving it. But honestly, I think when it comes to why I became a coach, it was to really stop people feeling like they can't reach out. And it was to give people their strength back. And more so than that, even though I believed for a long time and a long period within my life that I needed to be fixed, I don't want to be a fixer. Now that I am fixed, right? Okay, and I don't have the acne anymore or whatever, right? And I don't have my limiting beliefs anymore. Just because I have been quote unquote fixed does not mean that I now want to be a fixer. So, as a coach, I am not here to fix people because I don't believe that people need to be fixed, right? So, if you're listening to this, you do not need to be fixed, okay? And I want to make sure that people understand that before they even start coaching, right? And it's so hard because when people find that they can't bring themselves to do something, when they find that motivation that everyone else seems to have, but they don't have for themselves, you go into that dark hole, right? You get into those repetitive cycles where you are stressed out, and then because you're stressed out, you procrastinate. And then because you're procrastinating, you then burn yourself out because you are completely blaming yourself, right? You get into the self blame cycle. And then because you're blaming yourself, you then burn out. Because you're burnt out, you can't do any more work. And then because you can't do any more work, you then blame yourself again. And you are constantly stuck in that cycle. And that's something that I find with so many people that I speak to, whether they be mums, business owners, students, whoever it is, right? And it's scary because actually the circumstances that we have in life are so different, so personal, and yet we are all experiencing the same limiting beliefs. That's something that the less that we speak to each other, the less that we communicate with each other, the less that we physically see people, we don't realize these things anymore because we are all just living so spontaneously almost, right? Because we don't really think about things in a deep way anymore. We just assume that, yes, I feel this way about myself. I'll climb into bed, watch some TV, and then I'll wake up tomorrow and I'll feel fine. And as much as you might feel stuck, you're actually living very spontaneously because you're not giving yourself that time to dig deeper. And that's something that I find with people now more so than ever. And it's made me realize that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, because you feel like you are giving yourself grace. You feel like you are giving yourself the little time that you need, even if it's 5 minutes, right? You tell yourself that you're giving yourself a break, you're taking rest. But while you're taking rest, you're looking at your phone, you're scrolling through TikTok or whatever else, and you are not taking rest. You're not taking intentional rest. And people do not realize it. And that's what I'm here to remind you of. And that's what I'm here to guide people through. I'm here to make them not just find themselves, because I don't believe in just going back to the person that you were before, but I'm here to reframe, right? Reframe every step of people's pasts, rewrite their stories and help them to rewrite their stories. So that's another thing, is that I don't want to do this for you the same way that I don't want to fix you, the same way that I wouldn't want someone to do it for me. The reason that I've been able to do the things that I have done, and again, I'll get into this a bit later, but the reason that I've been able to have the confidence to do these things is because I went back and I rewrote my story myself. If someone else rewrote my story for me, I wouldn't be where I am today because I wouldn't have written the story. Someone else would be writing it, meaning I'd just be a piece in the puzzle. I'd be the main character in a book, but it wouldn't be my book. So, another thing that I want to make sure that people understand before they work with me is that I'm not telling you, I'm not giving you the answers here. Because if I give you the answers, I'm not doing my service as a coach. I'm just doing everything for you. So you might as well just sit back and just give me your money. That's never a process that I want to be on with somebody. So it's just every time I work with clients now, I see myself in them, even if circumstances are completely different, even if there is no similarity whatsoever. I see that resemblance, right? Whether that's emotionally, whether that's physically, whether that's through experiences, right? Shared experiences. I would never take on everybody, But at the same time, I know that everybody can benefit from the work that I'm doing. And I think that's why the mission is so strong and why I push through regardless, right? Because I will see your limits before you see your own. And that's a very powerful tool to have. When it comes to your biggest fears, a lot of the time we focus on our biggest fears and why we don't want to do something or what could potentially go wrong when we do something. And that's usually at the forefront of our mind. That's why I was stuck with acne for such a long time. So, my acne journey and going into that fully now, because a lot of people know me for my acne, they know me for being the girl with acne. And actually, in my Instagram bio now, it says from the girl with acne to as seen in the Telegraph. That's huge. Like, I always think about the fact that my biggest flaw at the time, because everyone convinced me that it was a flaw, is now my purpose. It's now the reason that I am finally being seen, and not just seen, heard. And it's funny because at the time when I had acne, I thought that all I wanted was to be seen and all my problems would go away. And actually, now I couldn't care less about being seen. It's just about being heard. It's great to get some validation here and there, I guess, but I don't need it. And actually, being heard is the catalyst that has literally opened every door for me. And it's the thing that continues to open doors for me because I now make sure that I'm heard. It's not a situation of, okay, we'll hear you, we'll hear you out, we'll hear what you have to say. Whether someone wants to hear what I have to say or not, they're going to hear. They're going to hear what I have to say because my voice is genuinely my power. That just reminded me of when you're going onto like internet banking or whatever, or you call your bank up and they say, I think it's the Santander one. I don't know if I'm even allowed to say this. The Santander one where it says, my voice is my password. It's kind of like that because my voice is my password, but it's actually become the password for everything. And I think when I talk about codes, it's like these codes don't need to be little tiny things that no one understands or no one does. Like it can be your voice. One of my codes to be able to get to the level that I'm at now, in terms of my self belief, in terms of my confidence, in terms of my ruthlessness, like just what I do on a day to day basis, right? The way that I hold myself is my voice because I lost my voice for 14 years. So if you feel like you are losing any sense of your identity, any sense of just anything you're doing, right? In terms of what you stand for and what you believe in, and you feel like you can't really share that to the extent that you want to, it's not just about gaining your voice back, it's about being in control of when you are heard, right? And you need to be able to hear yourself first. That's another thing. When we seek so much validation and when we say we want to be seen and heard, we tell ourselves that we need to be heard by other people. If you're not hearing yourself, no one else is going to hear you. And I don't know if anyone has told you that, but if they haven't, let me be the one to tell you again. If you want to be heard, if you truly want to be heard, and you think it needs to be by other people, you need to hear yourself. As soon as you hear yourself and you really truly believe what you're saying, like truly to the core of your body, believe what you're saying, other people will hear you and they will hear you as a non negotiable. They will have to hear you, right? And I think that's something, again, that most people will just overlook because, again, it's always chasing that next thing. It's wanting to be heard by this person. And it's like, okay, well, I've been heard by this person, but now I want to be heard by that person. And it can really get you caught in a trap that, again, when you can't hear yourself, how do you get out of traps, right? For me, being able to get myself out of a trap that someone else put me in, wow, what can I say? It's been the most rewarding experience of my life because now I can genuinely and truly say to myself that I can go all in because I have so much self belief that I will be able to get myself out of any situation that I need to get myself out of. And a lot of the time we hold back because we are scared of failing. A lot of people that I speak to have a huge fear of failure. And when we are that scared, we hold back naturally, right? And we stop trying because usually our fear of failing is so much stronger than our excitement to try. And that will be the very thing that holds us back. So now that I've been able to get myself out of situations that I didn't even put myself into, you can imagine how uplifting that is, but not just uplifting. It makes me like a warrior. I genuinely feel like I can throw myself into any situation. And even if I have no familiarity with that situation, I have no idea what I'm doing. Yes, I feel scared. This isn't me saying, oh, I'm invincible and, I never feel scared. But I'm in a situation now where I don't want to waste any time. I don't want to waste any time not trying. I don't want to waste any time wondering what if. And this is something I say to a lot of people as well. It's if you really truly believe in yourself, you will invest in yourself, right? You will find the time, you will find the money, you will find the resources, whatever it is that you need, you will go out of your way to find it. And a lot of people will say, "Oh, but I don't have time, and I don't, I just this is too much for me." And what is too much for you? It's also that specifying and breaking down that a lot of people overlook. It's just become our response now. So I make a conscious effort to never just say there's too much going on, right? It doesn't mean I never say it, right? Because if I'm striving for a lot of things, best believe there's going to be a lot of things going on and it's going to be overwhelming. But if I follow through and I'm so specific on exactly why I put myself into that situation and exactly why I want to be doing something and what I want the outcome of me putting myself into the situation, what I want that outcome to be, it doesn't need to feel scary or overwhelming, right? Because I understand the steps, I understand what I've got myself into, and I understand the costs and the whatever else it is. And I think when it comes to my acne journey, it was just so transformational for me because I can't believe now I can say Richard Branson invited me to collaborate on a reel because I won the Elevator of Pitch Simon Squibb's for acne. I'm going to explain all of this properly, right? My journey is not like a lot of people's. And the reason that I say that is because a lot of people, their journey would have stopped at clearing their skin. So I had terrible acne. And that meant that a lot of the time I prioritized my appearance. And I honestly, my identity was attached to my appearance. So a lot of people would assume that as soon as my acne cleared, everything was okay. And my life was almost perfect, right? Because I still had great friends. I still had a boyfriend. I still had fairly good grades. Nothing was really bad in my life. So for someone to, I think, almost look at my life on a timeline, I feel like they would assume that as soon as my skin was clear, finally, life just, I had that click aha moment where I was like, oh my God, this is it. This is what I've strived for. I'm attracting everything I want and whatever else. And actually, that was furthest from the truth. When my skin cleared up, I realized I had so many other insecurities, both physical and mental, and acne did so much damage to not just what I looked like, but who I was as a person and what I valued. And for someone at such a young age, so when my skin finally cleared up, it was actually only last year. And after a 13, 14-year journey, you can imagine how many changes that I would have been going through naturally, never mind the changes having such a identifying skin condition. And I think anyone with a skin condition can, or any sort of physical appearance based insecurity can relate to this. It does take over your life. And whether people want to admit it or not, it does. And I think that's why when I started my Instagram page in 2021, when COVID was happening, I felt so free, but also so stuck at the same time. And that was quite a difficult and hard feeling to navigate because when you have these insecurities, you genuinely can't think about anything else. You can think about other things to an extent, but the thing that's always at the forefront of your mind or always in the background is what you look like. And that doesn't go away. And what you look like affects everything you do. It affects the way you show up. It affects the way that your brain operates. It affects the way that you have conversations. So for a long time, I couldn't look people in the eyes. And I tell people this story all the time. The reason that I couldn't look people in the eyes for 13 years when I was having a conversation in person is because I was always scared that if I looked in their eyes, I would be able to see where they were looking. And I always assumed that they would be looking at my skin. And if they were looking at my skin, that would confirm to me that I'm not good enough. It would confirm to me that I'm not worthy enough for someone to have a conversation with me and actually take value from what I'm saying or be interested in what I'm saying. So to avoid that confirmation, I decided to always look away when I was having conversations. And of course, people then assumed that I wasn't a very confident person. And at the time, that was true. So when I last year went on my first ever solo trip to Croatia, it was amazing. When I went on that trip, it's crazy to say that at 24 years old, I'd had my first ever in-person conversation looking into someone's eyes. And I've been in relationships, 5-year long relationships. So to say that is absolutely crazy, right? It's insane. Imagine being on a date, on a dinner date, opposite someone at a table, opposite someone that loves you and you love them, and you can't really look them in the eyes. It's a very interesting experience because you realize that you've really got a problem. And it's hard because you don't know how to get yourself out of that problem. So when last year I was at this like coffee shop, and I brought my laptop with me, and I was doing some worky bits. There was a man next to me who actually lived in England too, but like part-time, so he was between Croatia and England. And he was having a coffee, and I think he was looking over at my laptop and wondering what I was doing, because there was a lot of stuff about skin on there. He asked me, and then he was telling me about what he does, and he's like a lecturer at a university in Croatia part-time. We were talking, and he lifted up his sunglasses, and I looked him in the eyes, and I had no makeup on this trip, something else to add. So I was having the worst breakout of my life last year, and that's actually what stemmed this whole self-confidence journey. Skin confidence, self-confidence, self-leadership. My acne last year, being as severe as it was, stemmed this whole journey. So I was having the worst breakout of my life. And bear in mind, this was a breakout that I was having as an adult, as a woman, right? The breakouts that I was having when I was 14, like 13, 14 years old, they were teenage breakouts, right? They were seen as normal. So it wasn't as big of a deal. People didn't really, yes, I got bullied, right? But people didn't really associate it with my identity in the same way. But when you're an adult, when you're a woman, and you are experiencing acne, it is the most degrading thing in the world. It literally does make you question yourself every single day, and it makes you question your worth. And I wish that I could have helped more women than I already have helped with their skin and their mindset when it comes to their skin. And that's why initially I was the acne mindset coach, right? Because I wanted people to feel better in their skin. And when I was having this conversation with this man, when he did lift up his glasses, I looked straight into his eyes. Genuinely, no makeup on, worst breakout of my life. I'm talking my whole face was covered. And he was looking in my eyes. And I know it must sound so crazy, but I wanted to cry. Like in that moment, I wanted to cry because he was smiling, and we had a conversation for 45 minutes. So he was genuinely interested in what I was saying. Me and this man have nothing in common, right? He was like a 50, maybe 60-year-old man. We have nothing in common at all, but actually, we had the most amazing conversation, and he was the most welcoming and lovely man. And he literally was looking me in the eyes the whole time. Didn't look at my skin once, didn't ask about my skin once. And trust me, as someone who has had so many people, including family members, people that I know, people that I don't know, come up to me and say, "Oh, what's wrong with your face? What happened?" And then me with a massive lump in my throat, about to cry my eyes out. It was a transformational experience because I realized, wait, Kiara, you've got worth here. There is something about you that people need to hear. They need to see, and they need to hear this. And I'm getting emotional even talking about it. Oh my God. But this man really just made me he changed my whole perspective. And he probably doesn't even know it, to be honest, but he changed my whole perspective of who I am as a person and what I have to offer and my value and my purpose in this world. So from that day onwards, my acne no longer defined me. And after 13 years of my acne being something that controlled my life every single day that I woke up, it was the most freeing feeling in the world. And I remember literally going to the beach after, taking a book with me because I was getting into reading as well. Reading is never something that I managed to get into, but it was something that I always associated with being smart. I always felt like if I couldn't read, I wasn't smart. And I realized that when I was younger, I didn't even want to be smart, but I wanted to have something to say about myself because when I had acne, I was always overcompensating. So because I saw my acne as a downfall, because I saw it as a drawback, I always made sure that I had something to say about myself to overcompensate, right? Almost to make up for the fact that I had acne so that people would still choose me. So I tried to force myself to read so many times, and I couldn't even get past like the first 10 pages of a book. And I really gave myself the time to allow myself to enjoy reading last year. And this is going to sound silly, but I finished my first ever book last year, and it was the biggest achievement of my life. It took me over a year. I paused it a couple of times in between, but it was called The 1% Rule. And if anyone on here has either read it or anyone listening who hasn't read it, oh my God, it's breaking down every part of your mind and every part of the process and the journey that you are trying to go on so that you fully understand why you are doing what you're doing. And it really takes away that overwhelm. It takes away that stress and it takes away the comparison, trying to beat other people and make sure that you do the thing before they do the thing or do it to the best of your ability. None of that really matters, right? Just do it. Make that move. And that's why I say all the time, you don't need to feel ready to start. You don't. And I wish that I knew this 13 years ago. I wish. That is the one thing I would have said to myself. You do not need to feel ready to start. And I think that sums up my acne journey, to be honest, because even when I went to the Simon Squibb doorbell in Shoreditch in London at one of Richard Branson's Virgin hotels, I didn't know what I was saying. I had my whole pitch ready to go on my phone. I don't know if you guys have seen this. If you haven't, go to Simon Squibb's Instagram or Richard Branson's Instagram and it will be on there. I think it's called the Elevator of Pitch Dreams or something. But it was all about my acne, right? Like I didn't have my pitch ready. I was just like, Kiara, you've worked up to this moment. You actually have stuff to say about yourself now without having to script it and rehearse it. Just say it. And actually, I filmed, no one knows this, but I filmed my pitch twice because it was literally like a ring doorbell situation. So you just ring the doorbell and pitch, and you had 1 minute to pitch. I pitched twice because the first time I messed up and I felt like it wasn't good enough. And those feelings came back of trying to people please, again, fearing judgment. And I was like, oh, I don't like this feeling. So I'm going to go again. And the most amazing feeling when, oh my God, when 2 weeks later, my pitch was chosen for the Skin Confidence launch party that I hosted this year, my first ever event that sold out, by the way. When that was chosen, so Simon Squibb picked my first pitch. He picked the pitch that I messed up on. And I don't know why to this day. I don't know why he picked that pitch over the kind of like picture perfect one that was my second pitch. But I think it's because he saw my passion. And I remember the one thing that he said is, she's going to help so many people because she's turning her pain into purpose. And from that day onwards, it made me realize that the pain that I experienced through my acne journey and through having acne is a pain that will never go away, because that was such a chunk of my life where I devoted every working day, every day at school, everything I did to my appearance. And it shaped me as a person in some great ways and in some not so great ways. So the fact that I am able to now say that I broke my acne and everything that came with it before it broke me, because it was very close to breaking me, is something that I will forever want other people to be able to say. And I will continue to go on that journey for as long as I possibly can, whether I have acne or not, right? I'm speaking to you right now and I have a breakout on my face and I haven't had a breakout for over a month. And just feeling so free having breakouts now here and there, it reminds me every single time. It almost allows me to have a conversation with my younger self and just be like, we're okay, we're fine. And I know for so long you assumed that no one was going to like us, no one was going to listen to us. Well, you just sold out an event backed by Simon Squibb and Richard Branson. You know what I mean? And I think if that's not motivation enough for you to really understand why you're doing what you're doing and then go for the thing, I don't know what else is, right? Because yeah, you can make the moves now. And I know I say you don't need to feel ready to start, but you need to understand why you want to start. You need to understand what the purpose is there. What is your purpose with doing this? Not just your purpose, but the thing that you want to do, the thing that you want to start, the thing that you want to create. Why? And we do not do this. We do not ask ourselves why, ever, right? We just do it. We just go. We're always on go mode. Why? So I think anything to take away from this is get your notepad out, get a pen out. I don't want you to do it on a laptop. Just write down why, the thing that I want to do, why, and then go nuts. Write as much as you want to write. And it will give you so much clarity on even if you want to do it, right? Because I think as well, when we actually understand our why, sometimes it's not going to be oh my God, yeah, this is why I want to do it and I'm going to do it. And sometimes it's, oh, actually, this doesn't really align with who I'm trying to become or the person that I'm trying to be. And maybe that's okay. Until you know that, you won't know, right? Until you've done that process, until you've literally given yourself that time to understand your mind, it won't happen. I think going into acne as well, and not being chosen, right? Not being chosen with acne. I was on the pill, I went on Accutane, I went on all these crazy things, and still I didn't feel like myself, even when my skin eventually cleared up and then got worse again and whatever else. And again, it made me feel like I couldn't choose anything for myself and I was never going to be chosen by anybody. And then I got into UGC, and For anyone who doesn't know UGC, so that's user generated content. So a lot of the ads and social media content that you see from not influencers, sometimes influencers, but content creators, that is UGC content. And when I posted my first ever post, I speak about this as well actually for acne, because I would have never got into UGC content if I didn't start showing my face. But actually, when I started my account in 2021, Healing with Key, to this day, which is still Healing with Key, which I absolutely love, I was posting quotes. So I wasn't posting my face because I couldn't bring myself to do it. I couldn't bring myself to publicly open myself up to judgment. So I posted quotes and I had this really cute color theme. It was baby pink and baby blue. It looked like a weird gender reveal, actually, now that I think about it. But I had that. And actually, the quotes were from my mind. So I didn't get inspiration from anywhere. They were all from me because I almost used my account as something for myself. It really was my own journal because I didn't know who to speak to. I had no one to speak to. Actually, it's interesting because I had everybody to speak to, but I just didn't feel like I could. I felt like I was going to be a burden. So I told myself to deal with it myself, handle it myself, and therefore not speak to anybody. So when I started my account, for a good couple of months, I was posting these quotes, and you won't see them now because they've been archived, but I can always bring them back. That's why I never deleted them, because I always knew they'd come in handy at some point, and I wanted to be able to reflect on how I was feeling because I knew that I'd get to here. I knew that I would get here, and I knew no matter how long it took, I knew that I was going to be having this conversation that I'm having with you right now, right? And these posts, in the caption, I went in. Like when I say I went in, and I was literally just talking about how I felt and how honestly devastating having acne is and how draining having acne is. But I also tried to always put a positive spin on it and try and not give advice because I was very against the unsolicited advice that I was always given, but almost just reframe that perspective for people. So almost without realizing, I guess I was kind of a mindset coach because people literally DM'd me the next day, random people, because I didn't tell anyone about my social media account about Healing with Key. So when people were messaging me, I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? I was like, what? So me speaking my mind has helped you do this or do that, or it's helped you overcome this or feel this about yourself. And people were telling me crazy things. They were telling me that like I helped them to get out of bed in the morning. I was like, what? I was like, excuse me? I couldn't believe it. And it's because I still had these limiting beliefs about myself, right? So even though I was doing these amazing things for people without even realizing, I still wouldn't allow myself to believe those things because I still had these limiting beliefs that I wasn't good enough, I wasn't attractive enough, people wouldn't listen to me, and all these things that stemmed from when I had acne. So that was quite a hard process to go through because I couldn't ever identify as the person that was helping people, even though I think that's what those people needed from me. They needed me to really step into that identity. And I think when I finally did and posted my first ever like face photo, right, of me not with acne, I actually had to wait until my acne was cleared from Accutane because again, I had that fear of judgment. So until my skin was clear, I told myself I wasn't going to post. And I remember the first post was me holding, if they could sponsor, that would be great, two CeraVe bottles in my hand, the salicylic acid cleanser and the hyaluronic acid cleanser, or the cream or something. I literally propped my phone up against a water bottle as a tripod. I was wearing my pink joggers, I remember, and some white top or something. Color coordination was off because those bottles were green and blue and I was wearing pink and white. But anyway, giving the theme of my initial posts, right? Like gender reveal. When I posted that, it was almost like there was a revelation in the world that everyone was like, oh my God, what? Genuinely, the amount of messages I got because people finally realized that I was a real person. Like I wasn't this weird bot that was talking behind a phone. It was a real person behind these messages and these words. Wow. It was, that's what motivated me to keep going and keep posting. So even when my acne came back 6 months later after finishing Accutane, I asked myself, I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can carry on this account. What do I do? And I sat myself down and I was like, what do we do? Because the identity that I had for 6 months had all of a sudden gone, right? I was the girl that cleared her skin and magically did that sort of thing through going on Accutane. And now all of a sudden I was back to square one, it felt like. So navigating that it was hard. So getting into UGC and having brands, like I'm talking big multi-million, billion-dollar, pound brands, message me saying, we really love the message that you're putting out there and we actually want you with your acne. I was like, huh? Like, have you messaged the right person? And even getting into modeling my first modeling shoot was with Lloyd's Pharmacy, with another brand that was featuring within Lloyd's Pharmacy as well. And I met my favorite influencer who also had acne. And I was on set with her and I just couldn't believe it. I was like, the fact that I'm being chosen, seen with my skin and being chosen, not just to be in a relationship or something, but like to be the face of Lloyd's Pharmacy. I can't even describe, like, I can't describe how incredible that moment was, but also what it's led to since, right? So you can imagine my confidence just increased and increased because I realized that I didn't have to try and be somebody else anymore. I could actually just be myself, and that was enough, more than enough, right? And getting into UGC now in the last 2 years has been huge, absolutely huge, because acne, no acne, greasy hair, non greasy hair, like fresh blowout sort of thing, it didn't matter because people were choosing me. The reason that UGC went so well for me and is still going so well for me, and I have these long term partnerships now, is because of my personality. And that is a lovely thing to be able to say because I had a brand message me and say, actually, I messaged them and I said, and I'm not proud of myself for this, but I said, oh, I'm having an acne breakout at the moment. Is it the right time to film, sort of thing, for the vibe and the look that you're going for this ad? And they said, yeah. They said, Kiara, we want you. As in, we love your personality. We love your editing style. We love the way that you film videos. It's got nothing to do with your acne. We didn't even really notice. And I was like, and this is a women's wellness brand, by the way, who I still work with to this day. And I was like, oh, really? And all these moments have made me realize that I have so much to give in so many different ways, and I'm not going to stop giving it. So I think something to know about me is that I will do anything in my power, genuinely anything, to shift something for someone. So if I can shift someone's limiting belief, right? Some people work 5 years, 10 years to try and get rid of these beliefs, right? Whether they go through therapy, whether they, like, whatever it is, they will do everything in their power. And actually, a lot of the time, I can do that same thing for them that they've been trying to do for 10 years in 5 minutes or 30 minutes. So if I can save someone the time and the stress of going through that period of doubting yourself, that period of not knowing if you're good enough, right? That period of planning rather than just doing, all that time that's wasted, and it's not seen as time wasted, but obviously it eventually feels like time wasted. If I can prevent someone having to go through that self defeating pattern, like that self debilitating mode almost, if I can stop someone going through that, and if I can show them how incredible they are and what they've already achieved, and give them the exact reframe to make them realize that they've actually already achieved a lot of the things that they want to achieve, right? Meaning they know exactly how to do that, meaning the stress is taken away, meaning they hit those months that they want to hit, right? Whether it's like figures or income or whatever else, whatever it is, I can make someone do that, and I can take someone through that process so that they can take themselves through it. I will do that. And for me, it's not about making someone feel really attractive. It's not about the surface level stuff and the outcomes of, oh, I finally got a boyfriend, or oh, yeah, that's great. But it's actually about rewiring what has been learnt up to this point so that you can literally do anything that you set your mind to. Because we could all say, yeah, we want to be more confident, but I think it's deeper than that for a lot of people. And for me, I thought my goal was to be confident, and actually, it hasn't been. It hasn't been this whole time, but for 13 years, I told myself that I wanted to be pretty, and I wanted to be confident, and I wanted clear skin. And actually, now I don't care about clear skin. Yeah, having clear skin is great, but I don't really care. Being confident is just who I am, so I don't need to strive for it anymore or work really hard for it. It's just who I am as a person. And being pretty, what even is pretty? What is that? I'm so excited to go on this journey with you and make you realize just how good you already are, but also how good you can get. Like, just make you understand everything that's happened up until this point right now, where you are listening to this podcast and you are listening to what I'm saying. If you're still here, there's a reason for that. And I want to make you realize how much further you can go and how amazing it can feel. Even though you're going to be achieving the biggest things you've ever achieved in your life, it's not going to feel scary. It's not going to feel daunting. It's going to feel like you have literally taken on a new identity and just rolled with it, like fear free. And that's what I did. And that's what I'm continuing to do. And there's so much more for me to achieve, so much more for me to do. But boy, have I had a journey. This journey genuinely, there's parts of it that can help different people, and that's what I love about it the most. There's the acne part of me that can help people who are struggling with appearance-based insecurities. There's the UGC part of me that tried something new and really succeeded with it and now understands how to work with brands, how to have those communications and negotiation and whatever else. And there's also the coach part of me that wants to see people win every single day and wants to understand and make people understand that it's not them. It's not you. It's not your identity. Okay, cool. You've identified with something and that's holding you back, but it's not you. We can shift whatever it is that needs to be shifted and you'll be absolutely fine. So it's making people realize that as well. And that's me. That's me, plain and simple. Like, that is me. And that's my mission. And the key code, man, it's going to be a great time. But anyway, thank you so much for listening. And I will see you on the next episode. Please do review below. Let me know your thoughts on what you enjoyed in this episode and what you wanted to get out of it, because that's really helpful for me as well, right? For me to be able to understand my why. I will see you very soon. Episodes will be out weekly. Tune in because you're about to go on an insane journey. Please follow, and follow because you want to follow, not just for the sake of it, right? If you really want to go on a self-discovery journey and you want to be this person that you have been striving to be, you need to follow. Do it for yourself and don't do it for anybody else. And I will see you in the next episode. Bye.